folks, and welcome to another day in the Milky Way. And tonight we've got a great show for you with my dogs howling in the background. And Nina the Mystic as my co-host, and EA Koetting, thank you for being on tonight as we talk about the upcoming election, what we will be seeing and hearing, and why, and what is it all about. We're not going to dwell about the candidates tonight. Get that straight, everybody. We're not going to be, we're not for Harris, and we're not for Trump. We're not for anybody running for anything. It's about what they're doing, what's happening, and how the political process works. And is it tainted? How about that? Anyway, one of you guys want to start off with any...
Well, the observation I'd like to start out with to kind of double down on what you're saying about the sides of it. We have to understand we're looking at actors. That every one of these politicians in some way or another is an actor, and what that means is the role they're playing up front. That's not representative of who they really are or what they're really doing. And so that's the very first thing that we need to understand when we're looking at politics. We're looking at a show. What's that show intended to get you to do or think or to believe? And I think that's the first stage of it. It's, as soon as you start buying into it, look, I don't like sports. I can't get entertained by watching a sports game unless I get really invested in one of the teams, and specifically in one of the players on that team. I figure out what's going on in their home life and who their wives are and what's going on. If I can get myself invested in a player on a team, all of a sudden I am emotionally invested in that hockey game or that football game, and so that is one of the things that you got to watch out for. They're putting these actors up, and they don't necessarily want you to love the actors, because here we got again two actors that you're supposed to hate. These are both Trump and Kamala. They're not being put up as likable people at all. They're being put up as very, very dislikable people, very hateable people for a reason. They're trying to get us to latch onto them with whatever emotions we can. I do think it's all orchestrated, and no matter who you choose, the outcome's already been decided, and whoever gets in is not going to be able to. First off, they're just an actor. Second off, they're an actor without any real power. So that's my opening thoughts.
Yeah, and that's totally it. Here we go. Here's our two actors, both at zero. I found one that said 0 on it, and I like that because we don't want to endorse either candidate. Hello, YouTube. Don't banish me because I'm not political tonight. We're not talking political. We have, Kamala, and neither one of these, I hate to say it, everybody says, oh, Trump is the greatest, and no, it's Kamala, and she's a woman, and she's black, and blah, blah, blah. Is she really? And is Trump really the greatest? The facts say that he really didn't do a lot of stuff that he said he was going to do. Hillary never went to jail. Remember, his big slogan was put her in jail, and all this stuff. Build a wall. He got some of the wall built. He did cut some taxes. So we know what he's going to do. But these are you're right, two actors. You get to pick between the two. How fun is that? I want to have more choices.
Well, it's imagine being on the slave plantation and you're told you get to vote for your new slave master. Isn't that wonderful? Isn't that
Jones plantation? Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Which is exactly what you get a vote. Yeah.
Did you ever see? Speaking of that, did you ever see the Jones, what was it, Jones plantation? Did you ever see that?
That's what I just said. Yeah. The Jones plantation. Yeah, go and watch that movie.
I think that's what it was called.
It tells you what's going on. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's exactly what it was. It was we're going to have the slaves. You're all free, but you can stay right here and work. You just can. We'll pay you to work now. except now you got to pay for your housing, you got to pay for your food, and then elect a leader because you guys don't know how to do business, and you can choose between me and my brother. I'm going to look that up really quick and see if I can find that on YouTube for us.
Yeah.
I think you have to purchase that video. It is under a paywall, I believe, but it's definitely worth it.
Oh.
You know, yeah, they, you know, they didn't make any money on this, right? It was just, you know, so go and support them, you know, go and rent it or buy it or whatever. It's definitely worth it. It does kind of tell you, and that's exactly what's going on. We're still slaves. We're just actually not even treated as good as we were back then. You know, somebody was mentioning to me earlier today, you know, like back in the day, the slaves used to get like weeks, sometimes months off because of, you know, it's winter, there's not much to do or whatever. You know, they used to get a lot more time off than what we do nowadays. You know,
I've actually found it.
You know,
I don't know if I can play it.
Yeah.
Here we go. I don't know how much of this they can play.
Well, did you find a little snippet?
Yeah. Oh crap! I gotta stop.
Well, there's a little cartoon one. Yeah, you can always. Yeah, you can play that one. Now, I don't know if you're gonna get a copyright though, or
I don't know. We'll just play little bits and pieces of it. We'll see what happens.
The thing about video.
We can talk. Well, if we talk over it, it should be good.
Yeah.
Because then we're doing like you know.
Yeah, the little video is cool too. It explains a lot, but they have actually done a live, you know, live production video of it, which is it's really good, really well done.
Okay.
I don't hear any audio.
Oh, you know what? I have seen this.
The little cartoon one?
Yeah.
You've seen this?
This one's out there. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is what that movie was based on, was this little cartoon thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There, him and his brother are sitting there like, let's make these slaves work harder.
But you know, when we were in school, we're generally about the same age-ish, and when we were in school, we read what's that? The Animal Farm and Fahrenheit 57. We'd read these books that were, you could say, warning us. You could say predictively programming us for what was coming. And we can see, you know, the 1984 society exists now, and you know, those of us that are crazy, we're wanting to escape the program. And you know, get off the reservation because it's getting nuts. It's you know, even the movies. You know, I remember watching Logan's Run and what's that, Soylent Green. Oh man, like those movies were showing us where we're headed in the next few years.
Did you know that there's an actual food product called Soylent?
Yeah. I know a guy that lived on.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's a powder. It's like a chalky powder that you drink. That's it has all the nutrients and no flavor, and
it's called Soylent. I mean, you can't even make this stuff up, guys. Like it's you know
what it's made of.
Exactly. They made it like Logan's Run. That's a good one. I think that part's coming up. I mean, you guys got it up there in Canada, you know, already, and you know, they're putting people, and they're not putting people to death. You know, they're just saying you want to not be alive. You want to be unalive. You know.
Are you talking about the maids program that we have?
Yeah,
I guess that's what they call. I don't know what it's called. You're there, not us.
It's called maids, and it's short for medical assistant. You know, unaliving. Yeah.
Yeah,
and that is being offered now to you know, mentally ill people. You know, if you're a little depressed, oh well, we got maids for that. We actually had a homeless guy who somehow made it in the press or made it on somewhere, maybe a YouTube or something like that, saying that he was going to go for the maids because he didn't want to face homelessness. Well, he ended up doing a GoFundMe and getting 60 grand. And now he doesn't obviously want to do that anymore. You know, like he's okay now. But yeah, so this is kind of what's coming up here. And we all know with the economy and, you know, it's not looking good for seniors really, or clients for that matter. These are the first to go, right, in society. And the maids thing seems to be what's going to be offered. That's going to be the alternative. Oh, you don't have money to buy here now? Well, the economy just, oh, I'm sorry, but, we got the maids over here. I'll take care of it there, So, yeah,
Well,
that's
but that kind of reminded me of Logan's Run, and I think in the future, I know I had a friend, he said that, in the future, they'll have, you'll be have your 70, say, we'll just say 75, and you'll have your death celebration. You'll have a big party, you'll look forward to 75 and you'll get a big party. All your bills will be paid off. Everybody will be happy. And then you just die and nobody will live over 75. That'll be the end day, and that will solve all society's problems because, Social Security will end at 70 and then you get 5 years of goodness,
Well, to be honest with you, that's kind of the way it is. If you retire at 65 and life expectancy is only 79 or something like that, like they're not really expecting you to be around much. And most guys, to be honest with you, you look at their death certificates, they usually pass away a couple of years after they retire. Guys don't last very long after retirement anyways. So, we pass away a lot earlier than, what they were saying that we were going to, first of all. And it's not that far off anyways, the way it is, And nowadays, people don't seem to even make it to retirement, Now, that's a whole nother conspiracy we can go into. Or we just had a fellow YouTuber here pass away exactly my age, But there's a lot of that, lately I've noticed for different reasons, I'm sure. But yeah.
Well, I do think that there's a program that's being run. I think it's being run by the AI systems online, and I think it's being run by people in the outside world to make this life not seem appealing and to make the alternative seem very appealing. And not the alternative. This is interesting because for the first time in history, they're not making the afterlife seem appealing. It's actually just like nothing. It's just an atheist view of you can just end all your suffering and pain, not even giving the view of an afterlife that could possibly be part of that. So it's I think a really interesting conundrum there. But there is a program to make us not want to reproduce as much, and even putting the plastics in the system. That's not accidental. That is a program. I think to exterminate the human species. I do think that this is a slow extermination, and we need to try to not take part in it.
Well, is it not what the Georgia Guidestones were saying, that we need to reduce the population? And isn't that was Agenda 2030, and went on and on and on about every one of those agendas always say we need to reduce the population.
And they're going to make it sound appealing, right? People are going to go along with it because there's a few agendas here. The money, we can't afford. And when you crunch the numbers, we do spend a lot of money on medical care, at least for a few months of the end of life of a person. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of money spent in Medicare on your last 10, 15 years, probably, right? As you said, if you go at 75, how much money they're going to save right on that. And I'm sure there's going to be some kind of incentive for the family. It's like, here it'll be like, well, so if you choose maids at 75, we'll make sure that your family's well taken care of. And that's going to give grandma incentive because, fuck it, I'll be out of here. My family will be okay, and everyone will go along with it, because we're saving that much money now that we can spend on other things, So, you know what I mean? Like I can see people going along with this. Yeah, absolutely.
But then a lot of that's the hospital system. Yeah. The hospital system rapes you for money. Oh, they got insurance. Price is 3 times. An aspirin will cost you $15 a pop. Do you know how much we need to do 232 blood tests, huh?
Yeah.
Assisted living.
Do you have any idea? Your parents are still up and running, still at home, aren't they, Robert? You're very fortunate because I know my ex's parents. They're gone now, but they were in assisted living. That place was costing like $10,000 a month.
Wow.
You know, so you think that,
Wow.
oh, the boomers, they got all the money. Well, not really. That's not like, even though they made a lot of money on that house or whatever, that money is gone. They rape you. They take everything, you know. And actually, I was just talking to my brother's mother-in-law, who knows this 95-year-old guy. And this is exactly what happened. He's been in assisted living for I don't know how long. They're kicking him out because he's run out of money. He's 95 years old and he's now on the streets. So this is what's coming up, guys. So if you guys if you are able to retire, enjoy your days, because
Yeah,
it's
so that's funny because
great.
that was all part of my social media shutdown. Was not just social media, but I also had all of my 401ks and all of that returned to me with a chunk taken out for early penalties and whatever, because I was a risky asset. So it's like, all right, so you just I'm not allowed to retire. Check, noted. I'll just keep being a black magician my whole life, I guess. Fuck. So yeah. But
You
there
got
is,
that money
you know,
out of there, because if the system goes the way we think it is, all these 401 pension, everything that you got, that's all going to be gone, along with your savings in the bank, right? So get it out. You know,
I think it's all about to get wiped out. It seems So what I've seen is, since during COVID, there was a really intense restructuring of the background organizations of finances and communications and all of this, and it's basically they're preparing the infrastructure for the what do they call it, the Great Transition, or whatever the hell it's called. But even with the abortion issue, it's like that shouldn't be pushed to be an appealing option. Like, I'm not going to get into the thick of it, or whether or not a woman should have an abortion.
Yeah, it's one of those areas that YouTube is very finicky about, apparently. So we probably shouldn't go into that.
They use both sides use that as an issue, regardless if it's right or wrong. They both use that as an issue to turn people against each other.
That is the big play that's happening here, is to use anything that they can get to emotionally upset the other side and want to get their. It's not so they can get one side or the other in office. That's not what they're concerned about. They're concerned about keeping this friction between the people. Because if we the people ever come together and realize we're being completely fucked by the system, we will have an uprising. And I think that's what the system is doing right now. It's doing its damnedest to keep us from rising up. And I think that they're not going to be able to do it for much longer.
Well, it's that and the economic collapse. People stay calm as long as they got food in their belly. That's why the government puts out tons of money for food stamps every year, all the time, because people get food. They're not homeless. They got food, a shelter. They got all the conveniences. Why would they go out and riot? Until you take that away. When they take that away, look out.
Well, this is how it can get scary real fast. If they all of a sudden pull the plug. Can you imagine pulling the plug on all Social Security, all the immigrants, all of that stuff all at once? Can you imagine what it's going to be like? I mean, like you said, 3 days, people's cupboards are empty. So
people go hand to mouth now, and they don't have the money to stock up anymore, nor the room. If you're living in your tent or car or small little apartment, you don't have room to stock up. You don't have that cellar where you canned all your goods and things like that. It's gone. There's nothing there.
Well, that's all set up that way, right? To herd us into the cities where we depend on them. Of course. Yeah, that was the trap. Yeah.
So how is going on with this? How is the president elected? And do you know? And Nina, I asked you to go out and find out about your elections, because your elections are a little bit different. So I gave you that. But here's our presidential cycle. presidential cycle. We went through the spring, candidates register, then they got rid of a bunch of them. Then the spring of the year, candidates announced their intentions. Yeah, we went through all of that. We got the July and September, where we had a big overthrow. We went from one candidate to another, to now we got the two other people up there. And in September and October, candidates participate in presidential debates, meaning only one nowadays. And in early November, the election is. Well, what happens after that? It sounds so simple, right? So simple with the election. But how do you get to be the president? You got to be a natural born citizen of the United States, which one of the candidates we could question if they are, just like we did a few years back. I don't want to say names, but they are both over 35 and they have been a resident of the United States for the last 14 years. Yeah, we could say that. So
that might be where the other one gets that pass is because they were up in Canada, but they may have had been the residency thing is the issue. I
think so. I think that's where they scrub it in there. Kind of like the other guy, the big O.
But her, just I don't know. Her family situation is ridiculous, though. There's some Candace Owens is doing some digging through her family history, and wow, Masons all the way back, and name changes left and right to hide identities. Real interesting stuff going on there.
Wow.
There you go.
Oh, we're going to be talking about the Masons here in a little bit. Oh yeah, don't you worry. We got the caucuses. We're just going to skim through a lot of this until we find some important parts. But speak up anytime you're ready. We have the caucuses, which did they really caucus? Because I think like they already had their candidate.
I want to know who came up with that name. Why did they call it caucus?
I don't know.
It's probably just there's a bunch of dicks sitting around. I don't know.
They never let me in the Black Caucus. I know that for sure.
That's a good one. So they have primaries and caucuses, and then they vote on their candidates, and they have awarding delegates from the primaries and the caucuses, and then they have an election and yada yada yada. Okay, then what happens? We have a national political convention. They did that. Types of delegates at the national convention. We had the delegates. Remember, Harris was said she almost didn't even have enough delegates, but yet she got in. Trump, I'm sure he got all his delegates. Contested and brokered conventions. This part I don't really understand. The contested elections and brokered conventions. I don't know. Do you have any idea what a brokered convention is?
Well, didn't they have to resort to some of this back in the Al Gore Bush election?
I think so. Something on that order.
Yeah, I don't know that because it seems like he can get thrown in jail for questioning an election nowadays.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. That's why we're not questioning election today, people. We're just yes, YouTube. We're not questioning. Anyway, it says here, in a rare instance, there is no nominee wins in the first round, and the convention is considered brokered. The pledged delegates may choose any candidate. I think Abraham Lincoln had a brokered convention, believe it or not. Presidential general election. Here we go. That's what we're in right now. The candidates' names will be listed on the general ballot. And then candidates from minor political parties and independent candidates might not have a national convention, but they may be on the ballot on state-to-state basis. Speaking
of which, we've got a guy on the ballot here on in Utah. Lucifer Everylove is his name.
No way.
Yeah. And so I started looking this guy up, and he's a hippy dippy weirdo, but because I was looking, I'm like, this election such BS, and I start looking at the ballot and I go, whoa, wait a minute, what this might change.
It's a sign.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Well, And that's the thing. I bet you that guy's getting a couple votes.
I'm sure he's getting a couple. He's getting a couple. Well, that's an interesting game that's being played, and it's kind of as we're talking about the ballots and the major or not the ballots, but the caucuses and the major parties and stuff. That is the unfortunate thing that's really controlling it. If you're not a Democrat or a Republican, it's just it's a symbolic vote. You're a symbolic candidate, and that's symbols are nice and everything, but we need one. Speaking of symbols, just one thing to add into here. It is a really interesting thing that both candidates in the U.S. election right now are pushing really hard. This is the election. You need to get out and vote. You need to get out and vote. Get out and vote. It's the end of the world if we don't. The other candidate, both candidates are saying the other candidate is going to end the world if we don't vote. And I think this is because they are trying to push participation in this system in order to feed the egregore the energy it needs. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you speaking of early voting, a lot of people have been early voting. Early voting is in almost every single state. So it says these two states, Mississippi and Alabama, do not offer early voting or excuse is required here. So every state pretty much is early voting. So if you can early vote, go early vote. It's a thing to do.
Well,
right?
I heard. I can't remember which city it was, but some of the polling stations apparently were closing down at like 2:00 in the afternoon.
Really?
Yeah.
Like
no, they have police turning people away from some of the ballot or some of the voting booths and stuff. Yeah.
So it seems to me there's shenanigans already. It's just going to be a shit show.
There has. Look at devices with free Gaza messages found in ballot box fires. I think this happened in Portland, Oregon, and Vancouver, Washington. So right there, ballot box fires.
Same bullshit again. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, and actually, my friend Daniel showed me an article. Somebody got caught in his city there, Oklahoma, planning to do some bad stuff at one of the polling stations.
Oh boy.
So there might look out for that as well. And so that's going to make people like, oh, I don't want to go, right? Because there might be something happening.
Mm-hmm.
So they're already up to their same old tricks. Damned if you do and damned if you don't.
Now you were talking about symbols, right? Well, did you know that the Bell Book, pen, and more 8-symbol presidential hopefuls can use in the election? Did you know this? Bet you didn't know that.
No.
They can,
we're allowed to.
They're allowed to use these symbols.
How do you mean you're allowed to use them? Use them how?
These symbols will be placed next to names of candidates on ballot and some papers and can be used in campaigning if there's a contest for the presidency, the polling day, on polling day. This is for another place. But anyway, this is the U.S. symbols here. This is for another country, but here, this is for the U.S.'s symbols, though. These are our symbols we get to use.
It's like 19.
Now, I don't know if there's any significance.
It's like 1990s Microsoft Word clip art. That's awesome.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
They're like,
believe it. I couldn't believe it when I read these articles about using symbols, and I'm like, oh my gosh. So I mean,
there's one of them that looks like there's a person inside of a scope.
I was just gonna say that one looks like a sigil, doesn't it?
Here.
Yeah,
but that's what I'm saying. You guys are more familiar with sigils than I am, but if you really start looking at these things, I bet you this is programming your brain. You'll be thinking of, I want this candidate, but once you see this or this target symbol or this or this or this, whatever one refers to you.
Yeah, this one's going up, so this must be a good one because he's moving up. They're all
I mean, and in that respect, you wouldn't have to have all this presidential advertisements. You just have to have symbols around.
That's what they do. They have logos and they have flashing things, and
Dude, look at the one that had a clock on it. The clock's time was 10:10. 10 being the number of
time.
being the number of Saturn. So the number of
Oh,
Saturn, 10, the number of Saturn, just got to sneak Saturn into everything, freaking sneak Saturn into.
Yeah.
I knew you would figure these things out because I'm looking at them. See, the normal, everyday, average Joe looks at these things and doesn't see anything. You're going to look at it and just say, oh, looks like a person, looks like a clock, you know, but it's the programming.
Well, you're not supposed to recognize it consciously. That's one of the things about hypnosis, that it's easier to hypnotize somebody if they don't know that it's happening. And you know, you just all of a sudden you just start talking in a nice voice and saying comforting things to them, and they close their eyes and they just drift away, and then they come, what happened? Oh yeah. And so as soon as they start becoming aware, consciously aware of it, it's a lot harder to slip it in there. And so yeah, they're expecting most people to have no idea what these symbols mean, and even to not know that symbols mean anything. That's what they're counting on.
Yeah, I agree. Look at this one with the money. Now that's a hell of a symbol. Yeah, it's refers to yeah, I could be rich. You know, I don't know the direction.
Money bags.
You know,
Yeah.
Lots of stuff there. You know, like it says, we just don't think of it. I agree with you. It's easier to slip it in if you don't know what's happening, and I think they count on a lot of that stuff. Okay, here is one of the biggest ones. How does the Electoral College work? Remember, they want to do away with the Electoral College. People are like, oh, you know, remember for I don't know how many presidential elections they said, you know, I think ever since Al Gore didn't get elected or whatever it was, because, you know, he won the popular vote, but he didn't get the number of electoral votes. And a lot of people get mad because, oh, you know, well, yeah, we should just go by the popular vote. What do you two think? Do you think it's the popular vote?
So here in the chat, we got Steve that's throwing this note in here. What we really have is 50 separate elections in the 50 states. Whoever wins the state gets all of that state's electoral votes. There are 538 electoral votes. It takes 270 votes to win. Because with that, yeah, we will have, like you see in California. California's got 55 because they've got so many people living in California, and so those electoral votes are. But here's what I don't understand. If they are just like Steve says, if they're just doing a tally, why don't they just tally it by popular vote? Why do they need I don't understand the need for the Electoral College unless it comes close. But then if it comes close, I think it just does need to go by the popular vote. I think that's what the vote is, right? But then again, this comes down to the issue: are we a republic or a democracy? You know, and as a republic, that is kind of where the Electoral College comes in, is having those representatives. So in the end, I don't have a clue what I think about this.
Yeah. See, F. Kitty says they have been talking about passing laws to require them to vote for their state. I guess the Electoral College people don't have to vote, you know, that way, but they're supposed to. And I think I looked into this a little bit, and it was okay back in the day before they had, you know, all this electronic stuff and trains and planes and cars and methods of travel. You would vote, and your state representatives would travel to Washington to make that vote because communication was slow. So whatever was in your state, you'd send, you know, 1, 2, 3 guys down to Washington to make the vote for the people. You see what I'm saying? Versus now, where they could just tally everybody up in like 2 seconds if everybody voted it electronically.
Well, and then you know, with everybody voting electronically, that's the other thing. That if they really wanted to make a vote work, that they should do it with like crypto type of programming, where every single person is assigned. You got your specific key. Once your key's been used, it's used forever, and then you can use that on your phone or any other device, and everybody gets to vote instantly from whatever device they've got. But so with the Electoral College being, the people had to get on a train to go report the results. It seems like it's just antiquated to have it now. But it's beyond antiquated, because here's where it gets into. It seems like it gets toyed with to get the wrong people or the other people in. It seems like just another tool that they can use to tell us who's going to be president.
Well, right now the thing is the states with these really high numbers, if you can win that state, I mean, you only have to win a number of those states, and those candidates could just campaign in those states now, because who would go to, you know, Oregon and campaign if you only get one candidate? Or who's going to go to Montana and campaign if you're only going to get 3? Or South Dakota or North Dakota, you know, any of those Midwestern states, you're getting nothing. You better go to Florida, Texas, New York, Pennsylvania. That's the ones that are always in the news anyway. California, that's a big one. So if they need 270 electoral votes, you just start adding up the numbers, campaign in those states, and you're going to win.
Yeah, but that is interesting, because it does look like the places that have the more electoral college votes or whatever, those are more leaning towards the left. Those are more leaning towards Democrat states already, and so it's almost like, I think that's got to be a really interesting strategy that you're playing. In that is do I go to Las Vegas or do I go to Arizona? You know, because you've got to look at or even worse, do I go to California if I'm Donald Trump? I mean, I don't think he has. He's gone to Vegas at least 2 or 3 times now, but I don't think he's done a thing in California.
Yeah, because California always goes Democrat. Why would he go there and try to campaign? Just like New York. New York always goes Democrat. So, you know, there's no winning anybody over. He'd be better off going to Florida and winning there, and Texas, and, you know, some of these swing states, and trying to, you know, swing a few votes like Pennsylvania here. You notice that one is in red, and that's got 20. If he could win Pennsylvania, that kind of cancels out New York almost. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Because that really is where it comes down to. It seems like is right in those swing states. You know, Florida, Pennsylvania. Those swing states seem to be the ones that determine the entire election most of the time.
It is. It really is.
And Steve is kind of bringing in. It turns out Steve is a history teacher at a college. Thanks for your input, Steve. Steve says that the candidate is actually going to do some math, focusing on a combination of states that are going to give them 270 electoral votes. So that's interesting. So they're looking at it. They're actually looking at the math. Okay, if we're able to get these specific amount of votes, well, that's really interesting. That's a really interesting way that I'm kind of thinking of how they're playing their inner game of this. Thank you, Steve.
Yeah, no, that's exactly it. Remember last election, they basically said there was 5 states. I can't remember exactly which ones it was. I think it was Georgia, Arizona, and I can't remember the other 3. But those were those swing states that if he would have won in those, that he would have won. Whoever won in those certain states pretty much would win the election. All the rest of them were pretty much pre-decided. No, is that a good thing or a bad thing? I don't know. I think it's kind of crazy, because really it boils down to, you know, 5 states that you could cheat at, or, you know, campaign so much in that you could swing the votes versus the whole country.
You know, let me ask you, does and this is maybe where we can get some information from Nina about how it works in Canada, because it seems like Trudeau's been in for a while, but do any other successful nations out there circulate their top leadership every 4 years? That seems like we cripple ourselves by doing that. Like, so, you know, I don't know. Do any other countries do that, where the main leader of their country gets cycled out every 4 years?
Nina?
Yeah, you know, to be honest with you, I don't even know that much about the politics. I try to avoid that whole situation. Although, as a Canadian, you know, observing what's been going on here, like Trudeau, the only reason why Trudeau got voted in is because of the legalizing the marijuana. That was the only reason he got voted in. And you know, you got to remember that he's from a family that was already in there, like Trudeau. Obviously, he was prime minister here before, so was kind of born into it. You know, we're talking about actors. He literally was a drama teacher. Okay, that's what he was doing before he got into politics. Okay, he's literally an actor. Just having his big, you know, one of the probably the biggest acting gigs he'll ever have in his life, which is almost over now. And now, of course, now that we're getting close to the end of his reign, where you got the whole situation again happening, exactly what was happening when Trudeau was coming in, when he was the fresh meat, he was the cool one, and he had it all figured out, and, you know, booting the other guy out. Well, now this Polivier or whatever his name is doing the same thing to him. And turns out, yeah, the reason why he left his job there apparently at the school was because he had an affair with one of the students. Like, all these things are coming out about him now. You know, he's even linked to the pig farm in Coquitlam here. And that's, you look that up. Like, this guy has been into a lot of bad stuff. Okay. Anyways, yeah, people just hate him. I mean, I'm sure you're all aware of what he did during the lockdown, and, you know, just unbelievable the things that he's done, you know. So, but he was smart. He went and so I don't know exactly what the cycle's going back to that. I know that during the lockdown, he wanted to do another voting, made us vote for, you know, and he got in because we were in crisis mode. So he took advantage of the lockdown and got himself an extra few more years. That's why he's been in so long. So, yeah. So,
yeah, I don't understand your voting system over there. It doesn't work like ours. Can you tell me anything about that? I gave you that as an assignment. Come on, Nina.
Yeah, I know. I forgot.
Steve, you know, I'll read with Steve. So we're gonna resort to the teacher in the classroom here. So Steve says, right. They have a parliamentary system. A party that controls parliament gets to rule as long as they have a majority in parliament. But they're required to call for an election at least every 5 years. So every 5 years they have to call for an election at least every 5 years. So I imagine then that might leave it open for, like, let's say 3 years goes by and it's going terribly, that the representatives can then call for an election. And okay. That's
He did it early. He did it way earlier than he should have, while we were in crisis mode, before he had really, you know, outdone himself, so to speak, so that he would get voted in. So he was sneaky that way. Yeah.
You guys have the Liberal Party and the Conservative Party is what you call them there.
Yeah.
And so with that, that's kind of scary though, because you get the Conservative Party gets in, and then they just hold it for as long as they can hold it. That's nuts. I mean, I guess that's what it is in America too, though. Really, is you're trying to get dominance over Congress and over Senate and whatever, and then you try to hold it as long as you can. But in the U.S., it seems like we've got a really easy tipping scale. It'll go from Republican to Democrat, especially in Congress, real easy.
Well, it seems like you guys only have two parties from the looks of it. At least in Canada, we have two to choose from. And I've been in Canada long enough now to pretty much see every single one of them have a turn. And it always ends bad. It's always the same thing. Everybody hates them at the end. You know, oh, let's vote in this one now. Like, I've seen this going around already. Like, it's not going to change, you know. And but yeah, we've had Trudeau with the Liberals. They're the ones that brought in the whole woke movement. I mean, Trudeau has been, he's literally in the front and center of the LGBTQ parades and stuff that we have here. Like, he's like, and now his wife left him too. So, you know. Yeah, he's coming out of the closet, guys. You know, like, so that's the first gay prime minister, I guess, for Canada. There you go.
At
least openly.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
So he's given all the communities a bad name, you know, not just one.
Now we're going to talk.
You take them all to the right island, they're all gay.
Yeah. You were talking a little bit about the Freemasons and presidents, so I do have that too. See, I was reading your mind. Anyway, I don't know all about.
Well, I was just going to say one more thing about Trudeau and talking
Go
about,
ahead.
free. There's beyond that. You got the WEF, right? The World Economic Forum. Well, they have a young world leader, something rather. Trudeau was part of that. Okay, Putin was part of that. The France prime minister is part of that. The New Zealand guy was part of that. Okay, you're starting to see the picture here.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Is there really anything called an election, or is it rather a selection?
Selection.
Yeah. And that's not even getting into the bloodlines and the fact that they all belong to this group that we're about to talk about right here.
I think Mary Wynn said, wasn't Trudeau supposedly Castro's son?
Yes.
Conspiracy theory there.
I mean, he's spit an image, and there's proof they had a threesome, that she had an affair with him and all this. So, again, they're all part of the club, right? So,
well, and how many presidents were Freemasons, and how many presidents will be Freemasons in the future? And as we go through, we can see George Washington right off the bat. I ain't gonna go on about the whole thing when he joined.
Wasn't your country founded on Freemasoners? Aren't they all Freemasoners? Isn't that
Pretty
literally
much,
what your country is built on? Like,
yeah.
Yep. James Monroe, Andrew Jackson, Kay Polk, and Garfield, McKinley, Buchanan, Andrew Johnson, Garfield, McKinley, Theodore Roosevelt. Oh, we all know that guy. Look at that. He's all dressed up. What the hell's his name? What is this guy? I can't remember his name. What is it? But anyway,
I don't know if he's looking really intensely or if he froze. Or if I froze. I'm going to froze.
I'm still here.
Okay.
I look like Robert is frozen, yeah.
Oh, man. The Masons got to him.
Uh-oh. Sometimes his internet connection, or you know what it is, his modem gets overheated.
Every time, as soon as he starts talking about Masons, his modem overheats. You're back.
Is he back?
That hot.
Well, there he is.
I'm back. It ain't that hot right yet. I'm really surprised. Anyway. But isn't it amazing how it stops at Gerald Ford? You mean no president was ever a Mason after Gerald Ford? Come on. You got to be kidding me.
Well, what Bush is part of this Skulls and Bones? So it's sort of a secret society with a different name, different school. Whatever. They're all part of some secret society, okay?
Yes.
Well, and the big part of that, and so I think what we're seeing there, it's not that all of a sudden the presidents stopped being Masons, it's that the Masonic order changed. And we can see a change in the Masonic order about that time, around the 70s and 80s, where they started trying to attract more members by becoming more friendly and turn it into more of a fraternity, just a drinking club rather than anything serious. And at that point, I think a lot of other groups started coming out. But the big thing with these secret societies is that that you're compromised. Making sure that the people that are in power are in some way compromised, that they've had some weird sexual thing or some crime that they've committed, something that makes them compromised. That at any point that card can be played, like the funeral. Who was it? Was it a Bush funeral that the envelopes were getting passed around? Yeah,
well,
I think.
Wait a minute. What's the guy that didn't kill himself?
Oh,
yeah.
And what was he doing?
Compromising people.
Well, that's what they do. Same with the Diddy.
That's right. That was just at the last election. Who just went to prison or jail for doing the same thing?
Yeah, that's what they do.
Just before this election.
Uh-huh.
Doesn't anybody out there put this stuff together? I mean, compromise just before the election, and then the guy is going to jail and they got rid of him. And now they got the other guy that compromised everybody doing the same exact thing. He just didn't have his own island and plane, So now what's going to happen to him after the election? He didn't kill himself, did he? I'm going to make up shirts ahead of time.
Yeah.
I never thought I would say this, but we must protect Diddy at all costs.
Well,
but it's
they're going to get rid of him. I mean, if you were on the top and whatever, like, you wouldn't want these guys walking around with all that information. Of course, you're going to get rid of them. That's just, and that's the name of the game. You gotta. That's the thing.
They select these stars, these famous people, to compromise other people. Because think about it. If you're running as a candidate or you're doing whatever and you see this celebrity, you don't look at him and say, oh, well, he must be a bad guy. No, he must be a good guy. He's a celebrity, everybody's hanging around him. Every star and all the people are doing they're working for the wrong people too. Mm-hmm.
But unfortunately, guys, I've got to pop out of here. I've got a guest over at the home, and so we're gonna jump into some rituals with the Zazel tonight. And he's about ready. He's chomping at the bit. So I'm gonna let you guys go. It's been awesome hanging out with you tonight.
Well,
have a good one. All right, bye, guys.
Right.
Bye.
Bye.
See you later.
Later. All right. Well, thank you, EA, for joining us tonight. And Nina, what do you think of all of this? We're going to be wrapping it up here in about another 5 or so minutes anyway. We're getting in our hour. But what do you think of all this election? I know you're in Canada and everything, but a lot of this really does the United States really reflects on Canada, and what we do is kind of what you guys end up. Our economy tanks, your economy tanks.
Well, whenever America sneezes, Canada gets a cold, so, we're neighbors, it definitely does affect, each other, even though it's a little bit different, I guess, but not really. Because like I said, it's always been, we got 2 choices, red or blue. That's it. Coke or Pepsi. It's sort of like, it goes back down to the whole plantation thing again about being a slave. You got 2 choices. But the thing is that it's the same owner. So it doesn't matter to the owner whether you're Coke or Pepsi, because he owns all of it. It doesn't matter. He's just playing an illusion of competition or choices for us little slave people here, you see. But in reality, he owns it all. And that goes with the political arena as well. Now, trigger alert, okay? I do believe that the Jays, I'm just going to leave it at that, owns, both of the candidates or both of the parties. They own all of it. It doesn't matter who wins this election. They win, okay? Same with the wars. They own both. It's the same owners of both wars. They're feeding both sides. It doesn't matter to them who wins. It's just a big cash grab. It's a big show. It's all it is. Distraction. There's a lot of other things going on that they don't want us focusing on, like shows that we've been doing over on my channel about things that are going on. Rex Bear had a good one today that you guys got to watch. The serious stuff that's actually going on. And so this is just distracting us so that we don't realize, so we don't see it. We're just worried about red or blue. It's the same outcome. It doesn't matter which one of those people come in. It's the same owners. It's going to be the same stuff. Now, however, I do believe if Mr. T comes in, there's going to be some good things, coming. I'm sure, because it's been such a hardship now for so long, they got to give us some relief. So I do believe, once this shit show here is over, there will be some kind of relief. They're going to do some good things here that is going to bring some relief to us all. So that's something to look forward to. However, at the end, he's going to turn on us. We did a video about the iPad Goat 3. It really explains to you exactly what's going to happen at the end. And, so that's kind of where I'm standing with all of this. But
Steve Bose says the best. Your everyday life doesn't really change no matter who wins or loses.
Exactly.
Yeah,
We're still paying taxes.
yep.
We're still getting, hosed with
It's a
everything, and
slow trickle down. So guess what I did? I went ahead and I asked Chat GPT about the election.
oh,
I says, how does the voting system work in the United States? You can see my writing here. It says, I'm sorry, I cannot provide specific details about voting in the United States. I recommend visiting canivote.org, where you'll find the latest information on local election. And I'm thinking, your Chat GPT should have all these answers, and you're not going to tell me how the
because
U.S.
there is
voted?
no election. That's the whole point. There is none. There is none. There's nothing to
I know.
report on.
So then I asked then I got Pacific. I says, how is the president of the United States elected? And then, of course, it basically told me the same exact things I looked up on the other sites about the 200, the Electoral College, the electors cast votes, the Congress votes, the inauguration, blah, blah, blah. So general that it's like, really? So then I started getting inquisitive, and this is where you're going to come in, Nina. I want your opinion. It is. Oh, crap. I had it there for a second. Sorry. Wrong picture. That picture. Witches are casting spells to help Democrats win the 2020 election. Now, will they do
I've heard
the
that
same
there's
thing?
a bunch of witches that are casting spells against Trump, and it was like that in 2016 too. I remember. They were doing all kinds of candle spells or whatever those Wiccans are doing. But it didn't work because he won. So there you go. So I don't know, what are they up to now then? These are probably the same witches, that we call Karens and whatever else, Karen witches probably.
Yeah.
Sitting there doing this.
Well, and that's what I'm thinking, are they going to do the same thing again? Does casting a spell really work on a political election? I don't know.
Well, let's put it this way. The politicians, the elites, all of these people, have been using astrologers. They've been using, all of these things that the Bible says you're not supposed to. They've been doing it all along. They never stop. And they never even try to hide that fact either. I mean, Queen Elizabeth literally had Nostradamus live in the castle so she could call him whenever, that kind of thing. So yeah, these people, higher up there, of course they're using magic, to win, and then probably casting against each other too. That's the thing. So it's kind of like a witchy war, which spell is going to work? Are they counteracting each other, or, that kind of thing. So, yeah, I mean, why wouldn't they? They've always done this kind of stuff, right? And they know exactly the dates of when to do elections, when to do, whether it's good or bad, by using astrology, right? You know when the energy is going to be in your favor or not, right? So they use, obviously, this is sort of the first stuff that we learned, from the Watchers, right? They're the ones that taught us this stuff. And so this is what's been going down in the secret societies. That's not so secret anymore. Now all of a sudden knows about it. Everybody's a witch now. Everybody's doing this. Everybody, you know what I mean? So, yeah. So there's a lot of nonsense. There's a lot of nonsense witches sitting outside there with the little candle spell. That shit's not going to work, okay? But there are real magicians who are working for the elites, who are doing the real stuff for sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You don't hear about that.
And well, I mean, like we talked about the symbols and things. Once you have a symbol, it's a sigil, regardless if it looks like a little man or if it looks like a telephone or a clock or whatever it is. But once you start seeing that, then if you as a witch can cast a spell on that sigil, right?
Yeah. So a logo essentially is a sigil, and so every business, every party, everything has a logo, which is a sigil. And so you are going to choose a sigil based on the intention of your business or whatever it is that you're doing. And so you're using, it's not just symbols, they have meaning. And you can take a name, okay, a phrase, like a whole sentence, and break it down into essentially a sigil. And so just by looking at that sigil, you're not just looking at the sigil, you're looking at that whole phrase.
Yeah.
And so, subconsciously and in the universe and all of this, it's, you don't even realize what you're looking at.
Exactly. And I think that's what's happening. Once I look this up, look at all the choices they got. And, I am going to go out and literally try to search for these symbols on or with each candidate and see where they put them. They can't put their name or vote for who, but they can put these symbols, there. And whatever.
Now that you've kind of, made note of this, it'll be kind of interesting to see, which symbols are they choosing, and then try to figure out what those symbols mean. And then you can kind of see the intention behind the candidate, based on that as well. So, yeah.
It is. It's very, okay, so we got one little last thing, and I don't know how good this is going to turn out. But
each state in the United
Okay, wait a minute. Let me get this wrapped up, and then I can present this, and we'll see what we can get out of this. And I encourage everybody to go out and watch. If you don't understand voting, go check this one out. It's How Do Voting Machines Work?
Each state in the United States is in charge of administering its own elections, and it hosts voting machines.
Is it echoing?
It was, yeah. It was very echoey.
Part of the electoral system.
You have two of them, or somehow it's coming through twice.
Huh. Anyway. But anyway, it goes on about election machines.
But how exactly do they work?
How do election machines work? I want to know.
Through the 20th century, there was much more variance in the types of equipment used. Mechanical lever voting machines and punch card systems were common.
Ooh, the punch cards. Isn't that how Al Gore didn't get elected?
Did you notice the little symbol that they had there and what they chose? Go back a little bit now that we're talking symbols here. So notice right away now that you look at things.
Farther?
There's a little delay. There's a little delay on my end. Yeah, where they had that, the name. Yeah, in the beginning of the video. Yeah, right there, right there. See that little symbol in between the two words? That's a pillar.
Yeah.
Right, that looks like a pillar, right?
Yeah.
So what do you think they're? What is that meaning? The pillar.
Don't know, but it's now. I don't know, but that's very
red and
good
blue
catch.
And a pillar. Interesting.
Yeah, good catch. Good catch. Double civics. I'll post a link to this in the description.
There was much more variance in the types of equipment used. Mechanical lever voting machines and punch card systems were common, but these became bulky, outdated systems to manage, and after the contentious 2000 election, a law was passed to modernize voting systems around the country. Today, the majority of jurisdictions use one of two systems to administer elections: direct reporting electronic voting machines, DREs, or optical scan paper ballot systems.
I don't even know what an optical scan paper system. What the heck is an optical? That even just sounds something. Optical scan paper system.
On a machine, often using a touch screen. The DRE then records the individual vote and stores the vote count within the computer's memory. Some, but not all, come with a paper record. This allows voters to review their vote before they cast it, and can also help with potential vote audits. Optical scan systems operate much like many multiple-choice tests you take in school.
I wonder if the echo went
Voters mark their choices on a paper ballot. Those ballots are then scanned on-site at the polling location, or collected and scanned at a central location. In some of the country's smaller jurisdictions, hand-counted paper ballots are still the way business is handled. But as you can imagine, this would be next to impossible to manage in more populated districts. While each state sets its own voting standards, many of those standards are designed to address security concerns about vote tampering, accessibility issues, and to ensure everyone receives their full right to a private vote. That right remains a cornerstone of American democracy. Which voting system would you trust with your ballot?
Yeah, which voting system would you trust with your ballot?
Big fat zero for me, but you know.
Yeah, well, Lucky says that's an optical scan, is a print scan. That's kind of different. And a lot of these, in a lot of places, there's, you should show your ID. Everybody should have an ID for voting. Not this, you just come in and vote. We don't need an ID. You just vote. Steve Bowe, he voted early. I voted today.
Well, this is why, I think with all these immigrants, right? They just flooded in all these immigrants for the votes. And apparently they don't have to have ID or whatever it is. So, yeah. I don't trust the system at all. At all.
You get a receipt. Get a receipt for your vote. There you go. I think Susie Q's right. Get your receipt.
Yeah, but how are we going to, get together and count them to, you know what I mean? Like, we're not.
Yeah. Yeah,
there's no way for us to know whether or not, and we remember 2020, there was caught on camera, people with bags and bags of ballots and stuff. Like, I mean, I don't know. I just don't even bother. I didn't vote. We just had a provincial one here, which in hindsight, I actually was kind of regretted that I didn't, because the Green Party got a huge amount here, and I wish I had given them one more vote, So the local one, I think, might be worth going to, but for the federal, for the big guy job, I honestly, I think it's just selected ahead of time. I've heard a lot of things throughout the years where ex-presidents had talked to their lovers way back, saying that, hey, you better, it was Clinton actually said to one of his lovers way back, say, hey, you might want to hang on to that because I'm going to be president one day, and things like that. So these guys know ahead of time that, like Trump as well, he knew that he was going to be, and like he said on one of the shows,
well,
that,
they got videotapes.
Yeah. And
they
sure
have
has been a mean life, like,
They have videotapes of where Obama knew he was going to be president, 10 years before he was president.
That's what I'm saying. So these people are groomed for this job. You're not just going to have any old schmuck get voted in and have you in there when they don't know who you are. That's not how it works. I wouldn't want that either. I wouldn't be comfortable just having any old schmuck freaking get voted in there for whatever, because he promised chocolate bars to everybody or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, it has to be controlled. I'm sorry, but we got to give you the illusion, though, that you have a choice, red or blue. Red or blue? Which one is it?
Mm-hmm.
We'll do a little blue this year, and 4 years later we'll do a little red, and But in the meanwhile, all these guys have been pre-selected. Most of them have already gone through the little grooming school over there in Germany or whatever it is with the WEF guy, Klaus. And he will give you the down low of exactly what they expect of you in there, and you're groomed for the job. I mean, and so you should be. Like I said, you don't want just some old schmuck in there that, like, I'm not sure what the whole Biden thing was about. The poor guy, I guess maybe his dementia went south a lot quicker than they figured. The poor guy, I felt sorry for him, to be honest. Like, totally being taken advantage of. I mean, yeah. Anyways, so Steve here did some tarot when he says that he thinks that Harris is going to win. So, and the thing is, I was talking to my friend earlier, if that's the case, there's going to be some uproar in the street. Let's put it that way, if that's the case.
Yeah.
So I would be very careful out there. On Tuesday, I would stay away from crowded place. However, go out and vote. Don't let that scare you. But I would stay away from the big crowded places. There's going to be a lot of weirdos out there and a lot of I don't know what they got planned. There's, you know, they might want to do something so that it gets delayed, maybe, or I'm hearing it's going to be dragged out. So there could be something's going to happen where it's going to take a long time to count it all. It's just going to be, I think, just one of those shit shows that I would honestly stay close to home if I was you guys. You know, yeah, if you can help it.
Yeah. Oh, I totally agree. I totally agree. You know, there could be chaos in the streets. Crazy things could happen.
Yeah.
You know, voiceovers by Stephanie Marie says some individuals may move to Canada if Kamala Harris wins, and may go both ways if Trump wins. There you go. You may get new neighbors.
Wasn't there a bunch of celebrities that said that? Oh, well, if Trump wins, we're moving or whatever. And then he did win, and well, they're still there apparently. Yeah. No, I'm pretty sure, like, you know, July 13th, when that happened, I knew that was, you know, if it's up to the people, I'm pretty sure that's the way it's going to go. If it doesn't, it's fixed, it's rigged, you know.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, wasn't it Simpsons episode with the woman with the blue suit and the pearls? First woman president, right?
Yeah.
And didn't Kamala actually wear that outfit on one of her things? So
similar, yeah.
You know, I think it's kind of, you know, it's kind of obvious, right? It's in your face. They already told us years ago, you know. But we're just going through the motion now.
People say that every time. So yeah, exactly. Steve's right. Anyway, we've done our hour, and who wants to hear more about voting? I don't. I don't want to hear more.
Good luck, everybody, on Tuesday. Yeah, stay safe out there. Good luck.
I am just so over it because it just gives me. I don't even want to listen to it anymore. Who's for this and who's for that? And I just want to vote and be done. And let's see who wins, good, bad, or otherwise. I just hope that we don't have a catastrophe afterwards. That's all.
I hope that nobody gets hurt. That's right. We'll just have to, you know, do a spell for that. Do a little candle spell for that everybody will stay safe. Yeah. Okay, no matter who wins or what happens. But I would lay low if I was you guys. But yeah.
So things what do you got going on tomorrow?
So I'm actually not going live tomorrow night, but I do have a premiere of an old show from back in the day with Ryder Lee. So that might be kind of cool. It's an oldie, and it's from the vault. But, you know, there it is. So you'll have a live chat, you know, hang out if you guys want to. But I won't be there. I'll be babysitting my grandkids tomorrow night. So, yeah. Lots of fun.
Yeah, there you go. That sounds fun. And next week I got coming up Native American Myths and Legends on Tuesday, and then next Saturday we will be doing our tribute to Dalibor. So you are welcome to come back and talk about Dalibor a little bit on next Saturday. We're going to have our tribute to them. That's going to give me a little time to collect some videos and some footage and have some clips and stuff, and we can say our goodbyes to him, because boy, do I miss him. Tell you, well, you know, I knew after the first or second email I sent to him and I didn't get a response that something was up. You know, I could just feel it. I didn't want to admit it to myself, but I knew something was wrong, and I just didn't want it to be so. But, you know, and I searched and I sent emails every week. I sent an email to him and nothing. And I looked up on the internet, and but I didn't know who to call or ask, you know, I mean, really didn't. So, you know, so I just kept going on. One day he would show up again. But yeah, Dalibor was wonderful. Yes. And I will miss him very much. But you know what? With the magic of the internet, we have videos of him saying his wise sayings and telling us all kind of stuff about the pyramids and Egypt and all the stuff that he could possibly talk about. So we'll have that forever.
Yeah, that's kind of cool, eh? But doing the show is, you know, we're kind of immortalizing ourselves by being on here. It's kind of cool. But yeah, he sure went way too early.
Yep.
Yeah, big shock to the community for sure, and he'll definitely be missed. He was pretty much on all the different shows, and I actually was thinking about contacting him and get him on my show, you know, because we always got along. You know, the shows that we did together was always good. You know, he's somebody that I can actually banter with, you know, which is nice. It's a rarity, you know, a lot of the times with a lot of people. So yeah, that's really too bad. Really too bad.
Yeah, he was so, you know, I mean, it's hard to even comprehend how smart this guy was. I mean, it blows my mind when I start reading some of the things that he put up, like on Minds. I think he had some stuff on Minds and some stuff he wrote on the Crystal Network and stuff. But man, it just, I'm thinking, wow, you know, unbelievable. So anyway, just crazy, unbelievable. How smart this guy was, speaking 5 languages, knowing about finance and history, and there wasn't a subject you could talk to him about that he didn't know anything about. He knew. It was like you're talking to an encyclopedia. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
And some of the after shows.
You guys better tune in next week then for you know, the little memorial. If you guys, you know, have anything that you want to say, I'm sure you can email Robert, you know, or if you got some cool photos, that would be kind of neat. I don't know if anybody's listening is a relative of his. We met a couple of them last night over on the drama there. But I don't know if they followed us over on our channels. But yeah, because I don't know. Yeah, because I certainly don't have anything like that. But
but yeah, we'll see what happens by next week. So join us then. I'll see you then, hopefully, and have a good time off of babysitting tomorrow, and we'll tune into your replay. With that, everybody
tune into the chat. Make sure you subscribe and hit the like. Okay, guys.
Yes. Do something nice for somebody. Remember, tomorrow could be your last day or your friend's last day. So treat them with the most upright respect and be the frequency you want to receive, everybody. Love you all. Peace, everybody.